What if I told you that a single night in 1817 changed the course of British history forever, and almost no one knows about it? The affair I'm about to reveal didn't just scandal the palace, it rewrote the line of succession and gave us the queen who would define an era. Welcome back to the channel. If you're fascinated by the hidden scandals that shaped royal history, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most consequential yet mysteriously overlooked events in British royal history. The year is 1817. The heir to the throne is dead, and behind closed palace doors, a desperate scramble for succession is about to unleash secrets, forbidden romances, and a race against time that would determine who sits on the throne. By the end of this video, you'll understand how one tragic night created a domino effect that gave Britain Queen Victoria, the British Empire its greatest expansion, and the modern royal family its very existence. If you love untold royal history, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because we're about to uncover what the history books conveniently left out. Let's begin. November 6th, 1817. London is in mourning. Princess Charlotte of Wales, the only legitimate grandchild of King George III, the beloved heir to the British throne, has just died in childbirth at the age of 21. Her stillborn son died with her. Now, you might be thinking, tragic, yes, but how does one death rewrite succession? Here's where it gets interesting. King George III, the reigning monarch, is elderly and suffering from severe mental illness. His son, the Prince Regent, the future George IV, is deeply unpopular, overweight, and trapped in a disastrous marriage. And here's the kicker: he has no other legitimate children. Neither do any of his brothers. That's right, the 52-year-old Prince Regent and his 6 adult brothers have produced exactly 0 legitimate heirs between them. The line of succession is empty. Britain is staring into a constitutional abyss. Without an heir, the crown could theoretically pass to distant European relatives, creating political chaos. Parliament is panicking, the public is anxious. But here's what they didn't announce publicly. Several of these royal princes had secret families, hidden mistresses, and illegitimate children scattered across England and Europe. The question became, who could produce a legitimate heir first? And that's when the race began. To understand the scandal, you need to understand the web of secret relationships the royal brothers had been hiding. Let me introduce you to the key players. Prince Augustus Frederick, Duke of Sussex. In 1793, he secretly married Lady Augusta Murray in Rome, completely ignoring the Royal Marriages Act, which required the king's permission for any royal marriage. The marriage was annulled, but Augustus had 2 children with her, illegitimate in the eyes of the law. Prince Ernest Augustine, Duke of Cumberland, rumored to be involved in multiple scandals, including allegations of inappropriate relationships with servants, dark, brooding, deeply unpopular with the British public, and suspected of far worse crimes we won't get into here. Prince Adolphus, Duke of Cambridge. He married Princess Augusta of Hesse-Kassel in 1818, but before that, whispers of romantic entanglements across Europe. But the most consequential affair, the one that would change everything, belonged to Prince Edward, Duke of Kent. For 27 years, Edward had been living with his mistress, Madame de Saint-Laurent, a French-Canadian woman. By all accounts, they were genuinely in love. He called her his wife. They had a stable, devoted relationship. But she couldn't give him what Britain needed, a legitimate heir. When Princess Charlotte died in November 1817, Edward faced an impossible choice: abandon the woman he loved for 27 years or sacrifice his duty to the crown. What happened next was as cold-blooded as it was calculated. Parliament essentially offered a financial incentive. Whichever prince produced a legitimate heir first would receive increased allowances and political favor. It became known, though never officially, as the marriage race. In early 1818, 3 of the unmarried brothers scrambled to find suitable royal brides. Prince William, Duke of Clarence, married Princess Adeline of Saxe-Meiningen. Prince Adolphus, Duke of Cambridge, married Princess Augusta of Hesse Castle, and Prince Edward, he broke Madame de Saint Laurent's heart and married Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld. Edward's decision was pragmatic but devastating. He ended his 27-year relationship in a matter of weeks. Madame de Saint Laurent retired to a convent in Paris, her name erased from official history. Edward married Victoria in May 1818, and here's where timing becomes everything. On May 24, 1819, exactly 1 year and 19 days after their wedding, Princess Victoria of Kent was born. She was fifth in line to the throne. But within 18 years, through a series of deaths and failures to produce heirs among her uncles, she would become queen. Edward himself never lived to see it. He died just 8 months after his daughter's birth, likely from pneumonia. But his affair, his choice to abandon love for duty, had secured the succession. Now here's what makes this story truly scandalous. Historians have long debated whether the marriage race was officially sanctioned or simply an unspoken understanding among the brothers in Parliament. Either way, it worked. But there's a darker layer. What happened to all those illegitimate children, the hidden families, the discarded mistresses? They were silenced, paid off, written out of history. Some received modest pensions on the condition they never speak publicly. Others simply disappeared from the record. Madame de Saint Laurent lived until 2030, long enough to see Edward's daughter acknowledged as heir presumptive, but she never publicly spoke about their decades together. The Royal Marriages Act, created in 1772 specifically to prevent secret marriages, had turned royal love into a political transaction. Feeling became liability, passion became scandal. And in 1817, when the succession hung by a thread, the crown showed it was willing to destroy personal happiness to preserve institutional power. But here's the twist that history often forgets. Princess Victoria's mother, the woman Edward married to save the succession, became the most controversial figure in her daughter's early life. The Duchess of Kent was controlling, manipulative, and kept young Victoria isolated under what became known as the Kensington system, a strict set of rules designed to make Victoria dependent on her mother. Victoria grew up resenting her. When she became queen at 18, one of her first acts was to distance herself from her mother's influence. So the woman Edward married to save the succession became the villain in his daughter's story. You truly can't make this up. So why does this matter today? Because without the events of 1817, the British monarchy as we know it wouldn't exist. Queen Victoria's 63-year reign reshaped Britain, expanded the empire, and established the modern constitutional monarchy. She married Prince Albert and had 9 children, whose marriages connected the royal families of Europe, earning her the title Grandmother of Europe. Through Victoria's bloodline, we get King Edward VII, George V, George VI, Queen Elizabeth II, and King Charles III. Every single monarch since 1837 descends directly from that rushed marriage in 1818, from a duke who abandoned his mistress of nearly 27 years because a princess died in childbirth. The 1817 affair didn't just change one life, it changed the genetic makeup of European royalty for the next 2 centuries. And yet, Madame de Saint Laurent's name appears in almost no official histories. The marriage race is barely mentioned in textbooks. The scandal is sanitized, romanticized, or ignored. But the truth remains. The British crown was saved by a broken heart and a desperate scramble for succession. So let's recap what we've uncovered today. In 1817, the death of Princess Charlotte created a succession crisis that threatened the British monarchy. Behind the scenes, royal brothers with secret families and forbidden love affairs were forced to make impossible choices. Prince Edward abandoned his partner of nearly 27 years to marry for duty, producing the daughter who would become Queen Victoria, and in doing so, secured the royal line for the next 200 years. The affair that rewrote Britain's throne wasn't a scandal in the traditional sense. It was colder than that. It was institutional, calculated, necessary. And the people who sacrificed the most, Madame de Saint Laurent, the illegitimate children, the discarded mistresses, were erased from history. But now you know the truth. If this story fascinated you, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below telling me, what other royal scandal should I cover next? The Duke of Windsor's abdication? The mystery of the princes in the tower? Let me know. And if you want to go even deeper into royal history's hidden affairs, check out the video I'm linking in the cards right now about the secret marriage that almost destroyed the Tudor dynasty. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. History is never as simple as they teach us.